There are two kinds of technological revolution which has completely transformed the world. One, in the automobile industry, it's an EV. We never thought that the cars could actually work on an electric charge. Second is the smartphone industry. We never thought that the phones can actually turn around and flip. Yes, this video is meant for somebody who's looking to buy a nice expensive fold. That means you're a busy man, you need something which for multitasking, and you don't want to be in the Apple ecosystem. So we have the best of three devices. Stay on the video, we'll tell you which one is the best. We have the Samsung Z Fold5. Yes, this is one which has been making a lot of news, and which you see in a lot of people's hands, because this one was the first one to ever launch in the Indian market, and rightly so. This is a very, very good product, and which really has pushed the envelope and pushed everybody else to come and drop their version of the fold. So one such version is the OnePlus Open, which has actually again made a lot of news. This is the OnePlus Open, which looks very nice, very good, and has got all the bells and whistles theoretically that you would need on a fold device. But it's not done yet, because there's one more device which is not easily available, officially not available in India, but still available, and that's the Pixel Fold. Yes, this one I'm talking about. Now this one actually on paper looks not very tamed, but practically speaking, it has something which none of these devices have. So which one would you pick? Let's go along with the video and let's tell you what each one has to offer. Now, first thing, in terms of sizes, all three are very different. For example, the form factors are totally different. This is how the Fold will look in your hand. This is how the OnePlus Open will look in your hand, and this is how the Google Pixel Fold will look in your hand. See, all of them are very different shapes, totally different form factors. So take your pick. This is how this will look, and this is how the size. So you see the Pixel Fold tends to be more width, so you can of course shift it like this, and it will. So in terms of dimensions, you can see OnePlus Open and Pixel Fold are almost same size. Now, because of this camera bump at OnePlus Open, this has a very bulge back, but the Pixel Fold looks more neat. So you have to actually turn this around, which makes the size identical. Otherwise, in terms of original breadth, this is how the size would look like. So in terms of reading, etc., it doesn't make difference, because you can always flip the phone around and you will see how it is to play around. The Samsung Fold is a totally different form factor. It's small, it's more compact, but it's very practical. Now this form factor is actually very sleek. Only problem in the Pixel Fold, which I always have, is when you're typing on the one hand thumb. This does not give you a lot of real estate, which means that you have to always open it and do it. But in terms of feeling, in terms of all user aesthetics, in terms of specs, this is really spot on. It's also the most expensive of the lot, but this form factor is really deteriorating. But this also has some use case scenario, because you can easily slide this into any of those chubby water bottle holder in your cars, or in the airplanes in a business class or economy. You can just slide that phone out. These phones will not go because of its fatness. Now this is just one practical use case scenario. In terms of camera, in terms of specs, all of them are completely loaded. We'll come to that in a bit, but how it is to live on a daily basis. Let's talk more about the Pixel Fold right now. You see, we are sitting in a theater right now, home theater, just to enjoy the views, because these fold phones, the main reason is that you can have more real estate to have more screen time. Now, one problem that I have with the Pixel Fold is that the crease is visibly visible. You can see right now, you can see that the crease is visible, and then there's a lot of these real estate in the borders has gone in the bezel. So it's not completely a bezel-less phone. But in terms of resolution, it looks very crisp, though technically OnePlus Open has more nits under the hood, but this one still looks more crisp. In terms of usage, after a while, it actually has slowed down. It lags, because this is not really a very fast phone. But the one thing which really is very good about the Fold is the width here. So this has too much of state to walk, to type around. But if you see this one, the finish and the feel is very premium at the same time, but it looks little weird in shape. So it is a phone which will actually, people will make you ask, what are you holding? But in terms of usage, this might have some practical drawbacks and practical use. You would like a Fold device to be having a stand so that you can keep it on your flight desk or on your desk so that you can consume. Otherwise you have to hold it like this. It becomes cumbersome. I don't think any of these guys have come with a solution. Now in terms of camera, it is very decent quality. We did take some camera phones, but these kind of phones actually were not supposed to be used for more of camera or more of video recording, because this is not really going to give you that kind. This is our phones where you can use this phone for working and you can do multi screens, in which case it really works very hard. So you can zoom into, this is the 3.2x, and I've actually zoomed into the speaker right now. This is how it looks from the Pixel Fold. Now when it comes to the Samsung, this is how it will be. So right now I've taken on the 1x, and if you go 3x, this is the camera sample of that. And then you move to, from the OnePlus Open, 1x, and you go 3x. So 3x in this looks more clear for some reason. Maybe this Hasselblad camera has got to do with this. Now let me show you how the videos actually sound and resolution when you play the same video on all the three devices. So right now we are streaming same video from three devices at 1080p at full resolution, and what you can see is that the OnePlus looks more brighter, the Samsung Z Fold looks more crisper, but the colors in the Pixel Fold looks more contrasted, more saturated. So somehow they all have something to offer, but OnePlus does look much more brighter than all these two together, but the Samsung looks more in control of these two devices. Now this is how it looks when you play the video. Now let me specifically talk about the sound quality. The speakers in all of them, this is the speaker,
deep house and jazz again.
You know, jazz will.
Absolutely.
This is the speaker. My mic is here, so I'm keeping it here. This is the speaker
Not that I care.
of the OnePlus.
Well,
Now we talk about the Samsung Z Fold speaker on full.
Not that I care, but you can say.
well, I think multi-purpose product. Deep house and jazz again.
You know, jazz will.
Absolutely.
What's your ultimate beach?
Technical specs aside, the sound volume, level of sound volume on the speakers inbuilt at the OnePlus Open looks better. Samsung and Pixel looks more dull. Pixel here is actually in the third in the pecking order because that sound quality is not as loud as you would like, but the sound quality is also good. So there's a difference, but the OnePlus Open does sound louder if that's what you're looking for. Let's talk about the design and display. OnePlus Open is actually the lightest of them all. It weighs about 245 grams, whereas the Samsung Z Fold weighs about 263 grams, and the Pixel Fold is the heaviest of them all with 283 grams. In spite of having less of bezel, because the outer screen of the Pixel Fold is only 5.7 inches screen, whereas the OnePlus Open is 6.31 inches and the Samsung Z Fold is 6.2 inches. There's 1 inch makes all the difference in terms of typing, because this is where OnePlus Open and Pixel both have more of real estate outer, and the moment you open it, this is again the biggest of real estate, because this is 7.8 inches, the OnePlus Open, whereas the Samsung Z Fold and the Pixel have 7.6 inches of screen when you open the devices. Now this is where the difference completely ends. But the bezel is the least that you can see in the OnePlus Open. The Pixel Fold also has a boxy square design. It has a bigger bezel, which does not give you too much of screen space, which is something that I did not like in the Pixel at all. At the same time, the OnePlus Open and the Samsung, they both have very less bezel. Samsung Z Fold actually is almost bezel-less, so which gives you a very good form factor to hold on. Now OnePlus Open with its camera department has completely nailed it. It makes the other two look like a joke completely, because this one has a 48 megapixel main shooter, 64 megapixel telephoto and another 48 megapixel ultra wide. It does not end there, because it has another 20 megapixel as a selfie camera here, and when you open it, it has another 32 megapixel camera for your zoom, for your other WhatsApp video calls with your group chats and other things that you can think of doing, especially when on tablet mode. Now this one is completely completely spec'd up. But how does it stack up when you do actual shooting? So we've done some camera shoots comparisons. That's for you to analyze. Whereas the Z Fold5 has a 50 megapixel main camera, 10 megapixel telephoto and 12 megapixel ultra wide with a 10 megapixel selfie camera and a 4 MP shooter which is hidden inside the screen. This is something which none of these guys, that's tech, that's Samsung for you. Yes, Pixel on the other hand does not boast too big a camera specs. It's actually lower than the Samsung Z Fold5 with 14 megapixels as a main shooter. There's also a 8 megapixel selfie camera inside when you fold out. That's how the camera specs look like, but it is not just the specs which matter in terms of day-to-day usage. Samsung with a 50 megapixel camera really does a very good job when you do the shooting. Pixel, of course, it is very good, but if you pick all of these things, the OnePlus somehow takes better pictures. Now when it comes to performance, both OnePlus Open and the Samsung Z Fold are workhorses. You know why? Because they both have the same engine under its hood. Both are powered by Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 processor and they both have 16 GB of RAM. Whereas the Samsung can actually go up to 1 TB, the OnePlus puts a brake at 512 GB of storage. Now Pixel again feels a little underpowered. It also lags because I was telling you when we used it for a 8 days, it tends to lag. It's not as fluid as both these devices. It actually comes with only 12 GB of RAM. It works on Tensor G2 processor, which is somewhat similar but not exactly the same as the Snapdragon Qualcomm. In terms of performance, both the OnePlus and the Samsung are way above the Pixel. Both of them are good workhorses when compared to the Pixel Fold. But all the three devices can withstand splash of water, but make sure you don't go and get yourself drenched in a rainy day. Now the 1,50,000 Fold question. Which one should you go for? On paper, the OnePlus Open has all the specs which are unmatched by both the other devices. The Pixel Fold does not stand a chance. Officially it's not available, so you should not even go for it because they both are similar price point and the choice actually narrows down to OnePlus Open and the Samsung Z Fold5. Now Samsung Z Fold5 has a lot of things going for it because it's also good form factor. Some of you might like this because it's compact. It really feels very good in the hand. It does not have a big bump at the back. At the same time, it really offers a good real estate because when you open, multitasking is good. Now remember, all these folds, when you open out and when you start working, if you plan to watch videos, you're going to watch videos which will not give you really too much of screen size because you want to watch like this. This is the real estate of you get. If the moment you do this, you actually cut away a lot of things. So now this is the same as an iPhone. So does it solve any purpose? Why should you buy a Fold? It's very good if you want to do multitask. If you want to have three split screens, you can watch video, you can send a message, maybe read a magazine. But when it comes to reading, that's where a Fold device really works very well. A document, a magazine, if you download Maxter or any app or Exhibit magazine app for that matter, you can actually download and read the magazine from screen space. That's where the Fold really makes a lot of difference. In terms of video watching, none of these devices have something which you can hook on and make it stand. If that happens, then there's one more use case for this. But even if that happens, you don't really get to enjoy the total real estate because these are not optimized. Does it really replace a tablet? No, it does not replace a tablet because tablet comes with a complete ecosystem. They get a keyboard, they get a much bigger screen because this is just a good phone when you're on the move. You want to show something to somebody, is good to hold, but you need to get something to be able to stick it around on the flight, on your desk and things around it. So if you've been contemplating whether you should buy an Apple 15 Pro Max or a Samsung Z Fold or a OnePlus Open, let me tell you that the foldable device does not have so much of a use case as you are imagining in your head, but in your day-to-day working, day-to-day life, you need a phone which is more functional, which is more useful. Yes, Sometimes in terms of productivity it does have an edge, but that does really get mitigated over a long period of time, because when you have a single bar phone, life is much more easier. So there's not much of a very big use case. If you've already tied into an Apple ecosystem, I don't see a reason why you should move to a foldable devices. Now the question is not that. The question is, which one would you still go on a foldable device? Is it the Open that you will finally close for? Drop that in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.